Are you loving these land prices in Oklahoma? Or maybe you have some land that you'd like to build on. Oklahoma is pretty sparsely populated compared to the rest of the US. So what would it take for you to build a custom house? Buying the land, hiring the builder, and finally closing and moving in. Well, let's talk about it. I'm gonna give you the step-by-step process on this and how it could work. As you may imagine, building a house or anything really is gonna have some steps, a lot of steps actually. It's really important to take your time with something like this, and hopefully you've thought about this for a little while. Don't just jump into this. It's a lot of work. I'm Marcie Billen, and I'm a real estate agent here in Oklahoma. I work specifically in the Oklahoma City metro, but these steps will help you wherever you want to build in Oklahoma. Okay, so the first thing is money, and I knew that you knew that, right? You have to figure out where your funds are coming from. So if you're building with pure cash, like, you don't need to listen to this part. Skip ahead to the next section. But if you do need financing for your own beautiful custom dream house, then stay right here and we'll talk through a few of these different types of loans. I'm just gonna give you the overview because I'm not a lender. So like I said, I'm not a lender, but let's go over the basic steps about like what it would mean for you to have the builder carry the loan. What would it be like for you to carry the loan on your brand new construction house? Or maybe you want to try a one-time close. If you do end up carrying a loan yourself, as many people do, this is really common to carry your own construction loan, you're gonna have to keep track of some of the expenses so that you can submit those to the bank each month and get your disbursements. It's also possible that the builder could carry the loan for you. This is really common if it's a bigger builder and they have their own line of credit that they're drawing off of from a bank. So if the builder has their own line of credit and they can use that to draw funds while you're building, you would just get a regular, like conventional or whatever type of loan once you finished the project, and you would buy it off the builder and he would pay his line of credit back with the money that you gave him from your own loan. Now, if you buy your own land, maybe several acres, then it's really common for you as the buyer or the customer to carry your own construction loan. And this just means that you're going to draw funds from your loan through the process. You're going to pay interest, and you're going to settle the loan at the end of the build and wrap it into, whatever financing you and your bank agree on. There's also a great option for a one-time close. I have a lender who does these. Basically, it's like you can wrap your close for your land and your close for the construction loan, because you have to close on that first with the bank before you start the build, and then the close at the end. So normally people have 3 different home closings or property closings, but if you do a one-time close, you would only have one close. And that can save you some money on fees and just some headache, of course, as well. And I love these loans because you could put as little as 5% down, where normal construction loans need 10 to 20% down. Another thing that may be happening as you are building your brand new beautiful custom house is that you need to sell the house that you currently live in, if you own it. I'm a realtor, right? So let me just jump in here for a second and give you my 2 cents on something. Is that okay? So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is putting their house up for sale by owner when they're trying to build their own house. I see this all the time, and I've listed several houses that have been for sale by owner first, and then, they decided to list with a realtor. So why do I say this? Why do I say this is a big mistake? And you may not trust me at all because, I would make money off a sale like that, right? But give me 2 sentences on this, just 2. When you put your house up for sale by owner and consequently price it a little bit high because you're not in a hurry, you really damage your chances of getting the most amount of money for your house. And you're building a brand new house. You're gonna have to buy new furniture. You're gonna have to do landscaping, all this stuff. So let a realtor help you to get the amount of money that you deserve out of your house. Don't miss out on your money. Whew. Okay, all the boring talk is done. Now we can move on to building and design and architects. Yay, fun stuff. All right, so location, style, builder, designer, architects. Let's go. So finding a location to build your custom home. Now you may already have land that you want to build on, but most people don't. So there are some options here. Of course, a lot of people build in what's like a regular neighborhood on a regular city lot. And a lot of times the builders will already own those lots, or maybe they've already claimed those lots from the developer. And so some of them, like if you buy the lot, like you have to use the builder. So that's a thing. But most of them, you can buy the lot and then choose whatever builder you want or whatever builder is approved by the HOA. And then there are neighborhoods where you have 1 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre. I've seen some with 20 acre lots, but that is not common. 10 acres is kind of the max that I've seen in Oklahoma for buying a lot to build a new house if it's in a neighborhood. And of course you can buy hundreds of acres for yourself to build whatever house you would like on. So do you want to be in a neighborhood? Do you want a neighborhood with small acreages? Do you want to be off by yourself in the middle of nowhere? These are questions to ask yourself. You probably already know the answer to these. This is where a real estate agent too can really help you to find the location for the land that you want to build on. So if you want to build in a normal city lot neighborhood, then that's probably the easiest way to do this. You can choose a lot. Like I said, you may have to use the builder that had that lot in the first place. You may be able to do a one-time close on that, and it would be a pretty snappy, easy process. Then there are neighborhoods where you can buy a lot and then choose a builder.
The number one caveat with neighborhoods is HOAs. 99% of the time in a new build, you're gonna have an HOA that's gonna outline the restrictions on what you're allowed to have in the neighborhood. Whether it's the color of the roof, different like a shop in your back, the size of the shop or the color of the shop. Also with the HOAs, they help monitor the road situation and who maintains the road, and they usually take up money to maintain the road, and that's very important because you don't want 3 years down the line a broken road and no one willing to fix it.
So if that doesn't float your boat, like you're like, man, I just really don't want to be in a neighborhood with an HOA, then you can opt to build a house on your own acreage that you buy that's outside of an HOA. So there are a lot of different things that you have to think about if you're planning to build on land. Like how much is it going to cost you to run electricity? What about the well? Are you going to need to dig one or not? How much is that going to cost? Is the builder going to do that for you? What about the septic system? And of course, the all important question, what about the internet? Oh, that's not what the internet sounds like. Okay, moving on. You're most likely gonna have fiber internet or satellite internet, depending on where you are in Oklahoma, and not dial-up, because I don't think that's a thing anymore. Okay, I kind of felt like I needed to talk about the builders before I talked about land, but it's hard to talk about builders if you don't have a location, because then you can't really choose a builder. So let's dive into the builder conversation. So we've already covered that some neighborhoods are gonna have a list of builders that are approved. This is really common, especially if you're close into a city center. But if you have, however many builders you have to choose from, I would say to choose very wisely on the builder. You're gonna have to talk to this person a lot. So here are my tips. Visit homes that they have finished. This is kind of a no-brainer, right? Visit homes that they are doing construction on. Ask for references from homeowners that they've built for in the past 2 years. Ask the builder if they have any staff, like an assistant or a foreman. This is really important information. Does your builder have architects? Do they work with any designers? And I have more questions that you can download. I actually have a download in the description below, so you can check that out. I just have like a list of questions that you would ask, like builders, designers, architects, things like that. All of these questions and research is also something that a real estate agent can help you with. So some people choose to have a real estate agent involved in their custom build, and some people don't. I'm a real estate agent, so I'm gonna say have a realtor involved in your transaction, involved in your build. Have a conversation with that realtor before you get started on what your expectations are for them. Like if they're planning to go to design meetings, if they're not, whatever makes you most comfortable and what help you need. So you need to have that expectations conversation with your own real estate agent. It's really up to you if you want a realtor to be included, and definitely have that discussion with them about how they're getting paid and what your expectations are. So this is already a lot. And like I said, I do have that downloaded in the description below. It's a list of lenders. It's a list of questions for builders, designers, and architects. You can go download that. It's in the description under a link. And all you have to do is put in your email. That's it. So budget. So the budget conversation will be a consistent one with your lender, your builder, the architect, the designer, etc. You have to submit plans, specifications, and estimates, of course, to your loan officer. Ask your builder about materials that they use. Do your research. When you're asking questions of the builder, if they don't want to answer those questions, they may not be the builder for you. You need to feel very comfortable with this person. So after you hire the builder, so you may have already started talking about plans as you're hiring the builder. This is super common. Maybe you've already picked out a house that the builder has already built before. That's totally fine. Most people make changes to those plans. So does the builder work with an architect? How is that architect paid? Are you comfortable with that architect? Have you seen other work that they've done? If they don't get paid by the builder, meaning that the architect's fee is not wrapped into the loan, then you need to ask them what their pricing is and see their contract. It's usually easiest to work with the architect that the builder usually works with. They already have a line of communication open, and that's extremely important in these types of builds. Okay, so next up is the designer. If your builder won't work with a designer, then I would say go find somebody else. Designer is really important because they help you make the house flow really well. They know current trends and designs, what may be a trend and what may be something that stands the test of time. If you're unsure about things like colors and fixtures and things like that, a designer is going to help you so much to figure out what's going to look really, really good in your house. Some builders have a designer on staff. Some have several. Some will have a list that you can choose from and you can contract those yourself. Always have that conversation about who the designer is, ask them very specific questions, like what their favorite design style is, and of course go into houses that they've designed before. Get that Pinterest board going so that you can have that conversation with the designer as well. I know you already have one. What's usually easiest is to work with a designer that the builder pays. So that way it's kind of like the fee is wrapped into the loan, but that may not be possible. So you may need to hire a designer outside of the builder that he's comfortable with or she's comfortable with. And of course, have that conversation with the designer about what they will do for what fee they are charging. Never be afraid to ask questions about how people are getting paid. They really appreciate it coming from a contractor. I really appreciate that. So determining the final price of the house is something that you're going to be working on through the whole planning process. You're going to be submitting estimates to the bank at the very beginning, and you're going to have to get the builder approved, and they're going to have to do an appraisal before you even start on the property. There are so many steps to the custom build process that include money. Your budget's going to constantly be updated as you go through the process, working with the builder, the architect, putting in the specifications, and talking with the designer. Builders will usually price a home in terms of square footage. So they'll say like 150 to 170 a square foot. That's how they price things out to give you estimates. And I'm just pulling 150 to 170 out of the air. Like that is a made up number. So don't rely on that as a starting point. That price per square foot is going to go up and down depending on different things like cost of materials, labor, the fixtures and finishes that you choose, everything really that goes into the build, the amount of concrete that you put in, all of that's going to go into your estimate. So what the builder is going to bid out for you is your plan and then the specifications for the plan. So the specifications are things like the central heating and air system and the fixtures and the flooring and all of that jazz that goes into the house. These things are going to affect your budget immensely. Once you have a final estimate from the builder, then your lender is going to do an appraisal. This is a preliminary appraisal. And then once you have all the paperwork together, the lender is going to give you a clear to close for closing on the construction loan. So that means that you can start drawing from your loan in order to pay the builder and so that he can pay his staff and his contractors as you're going. The build process itself is gonna come with ups and downs. It's not gonna be easy. It's really common for the final date to be incorrect, meaning that it's gonna get pushed out 1 month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months. Just be prepared and always be in conversation with your builder about this. So before the house is finished or right before the house is finished, I really suggest that you get a third-party home inspection on your home. This may sound crazy. You're like, oh, it's a brand new house. Well, builders will accidentally leave things undone. This is super common. No faults of the builder, really. Like Typically what we find is like, oh, well this, plug was wired incorrectly, so we need to fix that. Or this junction box was left open, or this dishwasher is not hooked up right. So the home inspector can give you a great idea of what the punch list would be. So before you close on a brand new home, even if it's a spec home or if it's a custom build like this, then you're gonna have a punch list. And that means the builder needs to fix those things before you close on the house or right after you close. Because the house should be pretty close to perfect since you built it from the ground up. Once your house is done, you have your home inspection, you have your occupancy permit if you need one, then you're going to finalize or do your third close on your build or your second close, depending on how you did this whole process. And the deed will be transferred over into your name and you'll start paying your mortgage payments if you have one. And yes, there does have to be a final appraisal as well. Guys, this was a ton of information. If you have questions, my contact information is down below. I have 3 different ways that you can contact me. You can give me a call, you can send me an email, or set up a Calendly, like a call with me if you would like to schedule a time and get it on my calendar. And don't forget about the download that I have for you. So it's about like loan officers, architects, designers, and questions to ask builders before you hire them. And I would definitely go check out this video next.